morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching this in the world. Welcome to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. My name is Santokie, one half of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, a rare solo Santokie episode. I thought I'd have to jump into the hot seat just to sort of take in some breaking news which has happened in the world of cricket over the last 24 hours. Before I get into it, as you can see on the ticker below, if you would like to support the relief fund for Jamaica post-Hurricane Melissa, please go to supportjamaica.gov.jm. We just heard today from CPL they'll be donating $100,000 to support the recovery to the island after that devastating hurricane. So if you'd like to donate, just follow the instructions below. Now, to get into it, the first important question I've been getting a lot since the last episode is, why have I suddenly upgraded the camera, upgraded the headset, out here looking professional like I'm working in a call center or something? The reason is, I'm going to be honest with you guys, West Indies are back. I've been trying to call Nicholas Pooran. He's not answering my calls. I want to get him back into the test side because following the news broken by ESPN Quick Info yesterday, West Indies are back, baby. We're no more Division 2. You know, for the last year, everyone's been talking about the World Test Championship being divided into two groups of 6, promotion, relegation, and inevitably, where West Indies being as down bad as we are in Test cricket, we were looking to be in Division 2. Now, within the fan base, Caribbean fan base, this caused a lot of debate. We on the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, myself and Michelle, we said, listen, it wouldn't be a bad thing for West Indies to go down to Division 2, play Ireland, Zimbabwe, Bangladesh, potentially Sri Lanka, Pakistan, play some competitive matches. And then when we're at a level where we're building our confidence, developing our skills, we can get promoted up to Division 1. It adds a bit of context, a bit of excitement to Test cricket. Obviously, a lot of people in the region were saying, especially, former players who played in that heyday in the 70s and 80s, listen, we're West Indies. We contributed so much to the world of cricket. How can we be cast aside in Division 2? We need to be in Division 1 if there is going to be one. I get the nostalgia of that. I get the whole point that, West Indies changed fundamentally the way cricket is seen, was played across the 70s and 80s, and it's had long-term effects on. If you talk to most here in England, if you talk to most cricket fans over the age of 35, can guarantee you they were inspired by West Indies in the 70s and 80s, international county cricket. So there's that nostalgia, but realistically, it was 40, 50 years ago, right? The world's moved on. West Indies cricket is a cutthroat business. It's a business at the end of the day, as much as it's a sport. West Indies don't bring in the finances, the quality is not there, they make a lot of losses. And based on the rankings alone, if you're looking at it from a competitive point of view, we'd be in Division 2. So that had been stirring up a lot of debate. Initially, they'd said, they wanted to start it for this year's edition, 2025. That couldn't be done. And it looked like it was guaranteed to start from 2027. But as I said, this report in Quick Info yesterday, I've just got it up now. Essentially, it said the 2-tier World Test Championship model has been scuppered. So it did not gain widespread support. And now the current preferred idea, bear in mind, nothing's been confirmed by the ICC, but you would imagine this story making it onto Quick Info, there's obviously some legs behind it, and it's most likely is going to be an accurate prediction of what's to come. They want to have one big league of 12 teams. So you'd add the 9 current teams plus Afghanistan, Ireland, and Zimbabwe. Now, first things first, I'll focus on the positives for this World Test Championship. As I said, West Indies were out here. We dodged Division 2. They couldn't hold us back. West Indies are back. We need to call up Pooran. We need to call up Hetty. Listen, Division 1, we're out here. It's the only division, but we're counting it as Division 1. That's the first positive, I guess, is it's a more democratic system, right? So Afghanistan, Zimbabwe, Ireland, we know they don't play a lot of tests. This allows them to have a structure, have some competitive games against, in theory, I'll say that because it comes with a caveat, I guess, against all the sides in the world. West Indies and Ireland have never played a test. So in the 6 years Ireland have had test status, we've never played them. So that would be something I would personally look forward to, particularly if it was in, Dublin or Northern Ireland. I'd be able to fly over there and catch a test game. We played Afghanistan once, I think 2019. And Zimbabwe, if memory serves me, obviously we played them in 2023 when Chanderpaul and Brathwaite racked up the runs, Chanderpaul double century. We haven't played them in the West Indies in test, at least. I don't think since 2012 when Chanderpaul was out here still playing. So we barely played these 3 sides. So that would be one good thing for those nations. However, the thing with the report is, it says there's going to be no extra funding. So I'm just going down for it. There's going to be no extra funding is likely to be available for hosting tests, which has been part of the struggle for members such as Ireland. So here's my thing, right? This was one reason why I thought this Division 1, Division 2 structure would not work, because what TV company in their right mind is going to pay for a test series between, realistically, West Indies and Ireland, for instance, or West Indies and Zimbabwe? Obviously, we'll have a core of fans who'll be interested in seeing that, Irish fans, West Indies fans, cricket badgers. But on the whole, as a mainstream product, what TV company is going to invest in that? So there would have to be a central fund from the ICC to give to nations to allow them to play these tests. Now, if you look at Bangladesh, when they played West Indies, it was free on YouTube. The current test against Ireland is free on YouTube internationally. Kind of shows you there's no market at the moment. I know Pakistan have moved to showing all their home games on an app rather than having a TV deal. So that funding was a big roadblock for me in terms of saying, like, how's this going to happen? How are we going to fund the Division 2? Who's going to put up the money? And obviously that never came to fruition. And what's concerning is no extra funding. So how are their 12 teams, how are they going to sustain themselves? Because first things first, I think Ireland played 6 home games this whole summer. They didn't play any tests at home. They've only played 1 test up until now this year, and now they're playing 2 tests against Bangladesh. And they've constantly said, it's been on record so many times, how they just don't have the funding to play test cricket. Zimbabwe essentially threw all their money behind the test side this year. They played 13 tests or something. They played England, New Zealand, Ireland, etc. And this leads on to the next point. The competition of those matches left a lot to be desired. I remember New Zealand hit like 600 for 2 or 600 for 3. Vachin Ravindra piled up a double century, and the game was pretty much over by the end of day 1. And it wasn't, as a product for fans, it wasn't enjoyable to watch. Same thing against England. England sort of smashed them all over the park. And it got to a point where you're asking, is Zimbabwe learning from these sort of matches, or would they be better off with teams of a similar quality to try and develop? And this goes back to West Indies. Obviously, West Indies, we have, at the moment, our fan base we're in a status of, we generally lose badly to teams, unless we're playing, Zimbabwe, for instance, or, occasionally Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, maybe. We generally struggle. But when we play I'd say a top 5 team, so England, Australia, India, Pakistan, we're essentially expecting to lose, and we're just hoping a miracle can salvage something. So we saw it at the Gabba, at Multan, but we don't have that sustained period of winning. When was the last time we even beat England? Well, we beat England in the Caribbean 3 years ago. That's a weird anomaly. But generally, like, in going to England, when was the last time we even beat England? It was going back 20, 30 years, right? So the competitive aspect is a big thing is a big concern, because for me as a West Indies fan, the World Test Championship is meant to add context, right? So it's meant to give meaning to these tests. As a West Indies fan, let's take this year, for example. It started in July. We've been eliminated from this World Test Championship quicker than Usain Bolt running 100 meters. We're already out. We're out by September. So within 2 months of a 2-year cycle, we're essentially out because we lost 5 tests. Obviously, we were unlucky to play a very good Australia side, 3 tests, got blown away 27 all out, then go away to India, which, in the last 25 years, only 3 sides have managed to win there. So it was unlucky, but the fact remains we've lost 5. We're essentially out. I believe if we lose to New Zealand next month, we're mathematically out. So at least within 6 months of the 2-year cycle starting, we're mathematically eliminated, which means for the next 18 months or so, there's no context to our cricket, because what are we playing in the World Test Championship for? We're just playing for the sake of it, whether we can finish 7th or 8th, for instance. So, and that's been repeated across the previous cycles as well. We've never been in the running to qualify for the final. So there's no context for that. We're not playing for anything. So at least the Division 1, Division 2 adds that threat of promotion, relegation, because if West Indies had to have a hard-fought battle in Bangladesh and we managed to pull off a miracle win and get promoted to Division 1, that feeling and celebration would be something we haven't felt as West Indies fans for years. So there's that argument to the Division 1, Division 2. It gives context for all the sides, because teams in Division 1 will be playing to win the trophy. There'll be those looking over their shoulder, relegation. Division 2, there'll all be, if you have 6 teams in Division 2 and 2 go up, pretty much all the sides will be in contention for 2 years to try and go up, right? So there's that context which is gone. Now, I can't think of it. If you have a 12-team league, surely they're going to change the format. So I'd imagine you'd get a semi-finals and final now rather than a final. So how I would do it was be first team plays the fourth team, second team plays the third team. The teams that finish first and second get home advantage in the semi-finals, and then the final, as we know, is going to be held in England for the next 3 editions, I believe. So that's how I would do it. But even looking at that, comment below, when do you ever see West Indies finishing in the top 4 of this league? Getting enough wins across 2 years home and away to finish in the top 4. It's not going to happen, at least for the next 5-6 years. So again, the World Test Championship, we'll be playing it without context, right? We'll be 6 months down the line, we'll be fighting to see whether we finish 7th, 8th, maybe 9th, 10th, 11th, depending on how Afghanistan and Ireland do against us. So for me, it's a tricky one because there's pros and cons to both of the systems, right? I think, like I said, the longer division of 12 teams means that if you're Afghanistan, Zimbabwe, Ireland, you're added into the fold. If you're West Indies, you get to play more opposition. But there's just no context. I would have liked to have seen us play Zimbabwe, Afghanistan, Ireland with the context of, okay, cool, if we win and beat them, we get promoted to Division 1. Now it's going to be cool. If we beat them, we don't finish 12th. We might finish 11th or 10th, for instance. So the context has lessened with this big league. But overall, I think, like, looking at it realistically, with the funding and the sponsorship, Division 1, Division 2 was never going to happen. The obviously massive elephant in the room is, and I think the English Cricket Board said it in the summer in an interview to BBC, what if they had a bad year or two in Test cricket and it got relegated? It would be unthinkable for an Australia and England and India to be playing in Division 2. So, as we know, they're sort of the key stakeholders in the ICC and making key decision making. So I think fundamentally, even if you take out the sponsorship and the funding, the fact that there was jeopardy for the big 3 meant it was never realistically going to happen, which sort of shows you kind of where the power is in cricket at the moment, because it should be a democratic process, right? Anyone could be relegated, like the Premier League. In theory, Liverpool, Man City, Man United could get relegated every season, right? But they still take part in the league. So that was always going to be a big risk. If England got relegated, what would happen to the Ashes? Do you play it separately to the World Test Championship? If India got relegated, all the other sides in Division 1 will be sweating over their sort of funding, and because we know when teams go to India, that's how they generate their income. Generally, the board for the next year or two, it funds them by going to India, playing India, the views and the marketing and sponsorship that comes from that. So that was always going to be an interesting one. Now we'll be interested to see how the sort of longer division works out, how the matches are going to be scheduled. I'd like to see, like I said, I'd like to see West Indies play Afghanistan, Ireland, just because we haven't played them enough, in addition to, the inevitable matches against England, etc., etc. So just thought I'd do a quick video to sort of dissect the World Test Championship. Obviously, there's a lot of cricket going on in the next few weeks. We go to New Zealand for the 3 tests. Look out for that squad to be announced. The final T20 is happening in a few hours over in New Zealand. It's 2-1 to New Zealand. There's an ODI series in the middle of that. T10 fans, you've got the T10 in Abu Dhabi, a lot of West Indians in that. So there's a lot of cricket going on. But I'd like to get your thoughts on the World Test Championship. Do you prefer this way of one long league, which it goes down to 12 teams, or were you a fan of the sort of Division 1, Division 2 angle, or were you against it? Comment below, what do you think is the best system? And will this longer league, will it improve West Indies' fortunes in Test cricket by giving us the opportunity or the rationale to play Ireland? Because for the last 6 years, West Indies could have played Ireland, right? But I guess funding has stopped that, or they could have played Afghanistan more. So does this give them more impetus to play each other because it's going to take part in the World Test Championship? Now, the second thing that's going to be, again, this is all in the same report from Cricket Info. The much loved, unless you're West Indian, ODI Super League is back. So they want to bring the Super League back for the 2031 World Cup. So it will start in 2028. The ODI Super League to add context to ODIs, and that will lead to qualifying for the World Cup. Now, if for the majority of teams, the ODI Super League added context, particularly in the last 6 months, teams knew that how many they had to win, etc., in bilaterals to qualify for the World Cup. So it added that tension. From a West Indian point of view, I'm not too fussed about the Super League because as it stands now, it's a shootout between us and Bangladesh to go to the 2027 ODI World Cup. So it's kind of like we're in our own Super League at the moment now. Every match we're playing, we're counting and looking at the rankings, whether we can finish against Bangladesh. So that jeopardy is still there. So not too fussed about the Super League. We didn't qualify through the Super League last time, which is probably why I'm not that fussed. Had to go to the qualifier. But also the fact that the World Cup is going to be 14 teams in 2027 and 2031. We'll do another episode on this, I'm sure. But I'm quietly confident West Indies will make the World Cup, just because I think 4 qualifying spots massively improves our chances rather than 2. The 2 qualifying spots is always going to be tricky. You lose 1 or 2 games, you're out, you're finished. Whereas 4, I think West Indies have enough quality in 50 overs, at least for this next few years, to kind of get through that. So, yeah, I'm not too fussed about the Super League. Obviously, it did give us some highlights like the tour to Netherlands, which we never usually would play, but because of the Super League, we had contractual obligations to play Netherlands, and obviously MASH went out there. All the European West Indian fans got to see West Indies out there. It was a full strength team. So things like that, some highlights and some benefits of the Super League. But as a concept, as I said, I think just the fact that we're kind of in a Super League battle with Bangladesh now, we don't really play any meaningless ODIs, like the ones against New Zealand. If we could get 1 win against New Zealand, that massively gives us a boost in our rankings points again. So every ODI we're playing between now and the cutoff date, March 2027, has some sort of jeopardy. So we're in a sort of Super League in and of itself. But I'd love to hear people's opinions, because this is one that historically over the last year has got people talking. So what are your thoughts on the World Test Championship? Do you like this longer division of 12 teams? Are you happy there's no 2 divisions? Where do you see West Indies Test cricket going? Comment below, and I'm sure I'll probably do a follow-up episode with MASH at some point in the coming weeks to kind of, once we get more news, because this is just early breaking news. I'm sure ICC will clarify and confirm it in the coming weeks. But as always, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. As I said, just a quick episode to look at this breaking news. I've been Santokie. Me and MASH will be back very soon with some content. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support Jamaica down below, as you can see on the ticker. If you want to follow us on social media, we just hit 15,000 on YouTube. Out here, you know. No plan, no organization. 15,000 of you subscribed, so thank you for that. And we're on Instagram, X, Blue Sky, Facebook, whatever social media platform you use. Caribbean Cricket Podcast is there. TikTok, you know what time it is. So I'm going to try and see if I can get the outro. If not, you'll be seeing my face pop up again. Down bad at technology. But thank you. I'll see you very, very soon.
West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast. West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast.